Now, though, where would you go if you could drop everything and leave tomorrow? What would you do if there were no limiting factors? For many, the opportunity to travel, to see friends, to go to the cinema, have a job, might be an everyday occurrence we don't think about. But for people living with ME and long COVID, it can be a dream. Now, a touring mirror box is coming to Somerset and Bristol to enable those with the conditions to be seen and, more importantly, be heard as well. It's an art installation called I Would Be Here If I Could, and it is the UK's largest collaborative social arts project. I've been speaking to the artist behind it. Her name is Alison Larkman, and she lives in Bedminster.
I think I suffer from enthusiasm as well as ME, which is probably why this mirror box is headed off to the top of Glastonbury Tour, I think. But I had a birth defect that I didn't know about, and I was training 4 or 5 hours a day.
Goodness me.
I think that's when I got glandular fever, it's like a light switch. One life ends, and then welcome to a world where you just don't have enough energy, and the word tired doesn't describe it. Yeah.
When did you find out it was ME? What was the process leading up to that?
Not for a long time. I didn't know what was wrong with me, and I was actually quite embarrassed because I'd gone from being this person that trained 4 or 5 hours a day, whizzed about, ran a T-shirt company, to literally not being able to climb up the stairs. And I think there's such a difficulty in getting diagnosed because there's a lack of understanding, and also it's very much sat for years and years in a psychological idea of what ME is, whereas it's very much a neurological condition. And I think it's just the legacy of that means there's a lot of struggle getting diagnosed and getting support. So it wasn't for years. I had 5 or 6 years where I was really bad, and then I had 10 years where I thought, well, hey, I'm fine. And then it came back with a vengeance. And I've been so lucky in that I've found a consultant that's been so supportive, and I went back and to do art because your imagination is huge, and you can lie in bed and travel to all sorts of places and think about things, but you can't do them. And I think that was one of the questions I would think, where would I be if I could? Asking other people, where would you be if you could? It was quite something. I remember one friend was like, nightclub. I'd be at a nightclub. And then she sent me another message a few weeks later and said, no, I think I'd go to a restaurant. And then ultimately she sent me a message saying, I actually just want to see my kids in the playground on a swing. And she's bedbound. And that's a bit that I thought that really gets you. And when the Arts Council supported me to collect messages to ask the ME and long COVID community, where would you be if you could? And the messages that came were just staggering. Messages, poems, beautifully written and full of, all sorts, memories, stories. But ultimately, it's having to hold something very beautiful and something very sad at the same time. And I think being able to put someone's voice in a mirrored box somewhere, anywhere, that someone can come in and they can go inside the box, and because it's two-way mirror, they see out, but effectively they disappear. It's the weirdest thing. And they can listen to that message, and they're invited at the end, should they want to write a postcard back, because ultimately they're at a place they love, and someone would be standing there if they could. And it's that, I would be here standing next to you.
The idea as well of not being seen, but you're able to see out, that's both I am present, but I'm not. I'm also absent, which is felt strongly in a lot of communities dealing with illnesses you can't necessarily see.
Yes. And I think also asking the question, where would you be if you could, ask someone to tell a story. So it's rather than saying, let me tell you about my condition, it's a gentle way of saying, we're the same. We love this place. Now, I'll tell you why I'm not here. And I think it's just a softer way of asking.
The places where the mirror box travels to is a place where somebody wants to be. That's been written, hasn't it?
And I must say that's the most stubborn thing to do with an art project, because rather than going to arts venues or places that are fairly accessible.
You've got up Glastonbury.
Yes,
tour.
slightly biting me in the bum. I'm like, yeah, we'll get it there. The top of Troopers Hill is a message that Lizzie Horn has left. It's a beautiful message, and all of them can be heard on our project map. We've got almost 100 messages, and you can click on them and hear the message from all across the UK.
You are here in the place where my feet touched the grass and waded amongst grasshoppers with their high-pitched chattering. A kestrel hovers over the hill, awaiting movement for a meal, above a city of toy buildings and cars. You are here, where I have laughed 1,000 times with loved ones, played games of rounders and capture the flag, flown kites alongside my brother, mum and dad. I have slid down these slopes on a cardboard base, and in snow compacted tightly, the sledge raced, squealing into light, just me and mum, when everyone else had got tired of the cold. You are here. I have climbed these trees, crouched in the chimney and looked up. I found my freedom here, where you are. You are here, and I would be here if I could.
Lizzie is Troopers Hill, which will be Sunday the 1st of June. Then there's an oak tree in Ashton Court. And I love it. These are really Bristol locations, and it was a nationwide project. So it's interesting that, there's been a lot of response from people in Bristol.
And close to home for you, which must be nice.
Yeah. And then the third location we're going to in June is the top of Glastonbury Tour. The National Trust have been really supportive, and they're letting us go up there, which is great.
How are you going to get it up there?
Well, it's slightly heavier than I thought. So we've got a team that always travel with the box, and we're sort of adding a few extra there. But also we're getting volunteers, and I think there's an awful lot of people with excess energy and a lot of enthusiasm, and I'm slowly collecting them, and we're going to get about 10 people. So it'll be a procession that goes up to the top of the tour, places the mirror box there, and Charlotte's left a message for Glastonbury Tour.
Glastonbury has always been a special place for me. I went to my first music festival there around 30 years ago. The whole mood of the area seemed magical and filled with promise. Lately, Glastonbury has become a special place for my parents as well. They don't live locally, but like to visit there a few times a year. If I was well enough, it would be the perfect place to meet up with them, and we could maybe climb the tour together. It is a dream I'm not sure will ever happen, although I'd like to think that maybe it could one day. If anywhere has the magic to make it happen, then it is Glastonbury. I think that's what I miss most. I miss that sense of magic, freedom and adventure that Glastonbury embodies for me. I miss everything my memories of the tour represents. Spending time with friends, with family, laughing with loved ones. I miss the sunshine and the blue skies, and I miss that view.
Part 2 of my chat with Alison coming up in a moment. Alison Larkman, the artist behind The Mirror Box. You can get online, see it for yourself, and by all means listen to more of the messages left for it. I would be here if I could.com. She talks more about its tour and what it's been like for her living with ME as well in a few moments. Second part then of my chat with Alison Larkman, who has created a large installation called The Mirror Box. It is coming to Bristol and Somerset, and it's to help people living with ME and long COVID the chance to be seen and heard. And I just think it's a stunning piece of work. You can get onto the website, as I mentioned, I would be here if I could.com. That's the question that she asked. Where would you be if you could get there, if you could go? And people from all around the country have left recordings of their answer, which each place the mirror box is then put, you will hear their story. People like LJ, who's taking it to Ashton Court.
This magnificent ancient oak tree has long since provided sanctuary and rest for me, an escape from the stresses of life. I've sat below it so many times, and every time I've left happier, lighter, and it has reminded me that everything will pass. I've needed the peace and wisdom my oak brings me more than ever, but sometimes now I can't get there. Sometimes every step I take feels like I'm pulling a lorry behind me. I've learnt to take nothing for granted, nothing lasts forever. Please give this special oak a hug from me.
Well, the artist behind it, Alison Larkman, joined me in the studio earlier on. This, if you just tuned in. Alison has been living with ME for years. She told me more about that, what that experience has been like, but also the actual logistics of the box, because, you know, this isn't a small thing.
It's just over 2 metres tall by 1.5 metres wide. So it is like a slightly larger than life phone box. Yeah. And ultimately you go in and there is a tablet with a headset and you can put it on and listen to the messages.
How long did it take you to design it, to come up with it? I mean, getting messages back when you ask that question is one thing. How did you then know there's an installation to be had with this?
I approached amalgam model makers who are also in Bristol, and they've been absolutely brilliant. And we started off with just a cane outline of a box and standing in it and, you know, feeling what it might be like. The brief I originally sent them, due to my career with Hells Angels and not knowing anything about public art installations, I literally wrote in a brief, can we get it down in 10 minutes just in case the police come and we have to run away? But since then, I've learned all about insurance and being an adult. So, yes, we tick every single box going. And it's been several years of different iterations, putting it up in places, testing it out, carrying it across fields and all sorts. So this will be the first time it's there with a message at someone's location.
How long have you been working on this then?
2 years of this project. Beforehand, I was planning to build my own hide, you know, like a bird hide, because I was too ill to make the end of a art course I did. And I thought I'd just go and sit or have my bed inside it. And this really came from that, this idea of taking up space, being seen and heard, but also being invisible at the same time.
Day to day, what is your life like living with ME?
I've taken years and years to be able to manage a somewhat weird life. I'm generally awake for about 3 hours and then I go back to sleep. I drink coffee because I know it gives me 2 hours of coming across as very energetic. Often I'm in bed at 5:30. It's a difficult life because not everyone can understand that, especially if you seem like you have energy at times. And I think one of the things in doing this project, I've met so many other people trying to manage what essentially are fluctuating conditions. And also the shock of realising how bad ME is, because you just don't see people who are bedbound, who are on oxygen, who, you know, have to have feeding support. And because you don't see them, even though I'd had it for years, it's been a real, like, you know, quite a revelation of, oh my goodness. And sadly, since the project started and we collected messages from people, one of the participants died before Christmas. And I just think it's such a battle and it's such a weight that people are living with. And I would say, for me, people that have taken part, I feel really honoured that they have, because with so little energy, some people couldn't speak, so they wrote it down. Someone's husband read out the message, or they would just send us a text message. We extended the project for months because people wanted to wait for that day when they could send a message. And so knowing how important it is for people to have their voices heard at these places, it feels like a real responsibility. And I feel a bit like a sort of a Jack Russell. I'm so determined to make it happen. It might be another 2 years. It might, another country might come along and say, can we have it there? Which a few people have approached the project.
As we say, Troopers Hill 1st of June, Ashton Court on the 4th of June, and then Glastonbury Tour on the 18th of June. How long is it there for? Is it all day? And do people simply just walk past it and step in?
It will be, we've got the times on the website. In each visit, we've got descriptions of how to get there, how to find it, what 3 words. We'll have lots of signs. Troopers Hill and Ashton Court, it's there from 11 to 6. And Glastonbury, we're hoping 12 to 5. Everything comes with its weather dependent. So it's waterproof, very, very solid. High winds, we will be...
That's an issue. Yeah, that's an issue.
Yes, so fingers crossed. And there's people with the box and they'll invite you in to have a listen. You can write postcards back. You can just, just look at the box. They're very welcoming and friendly. And we'll have a few volunteers who are collecting material for the person who's left the message. So we'll be recording sounds. We'll be looking at, someone suggested, picking some flowers for Lizzie at Troopers Hill. And, just a way of, as well as postcards, which are the voices of people connecting with them, just an idea of this was your place, this was your day, and it's one message at one place for one day. So we won't be playing other messages. It's we're honouring their message on that day.
I think it's an absolutely stunning and really, really powerful piece of, I think it's more than art that you have created. You must be proud of yourself.
I'm very tired. I think it will be amazing to once it's started. It will be amazing. I think it's hard. It's been in my head for such a long time. I think one of the things that really came across was when we were testing it, how much it affected the people who came to test it and how moved they were.
Many congratulations.
Thank you.
Alison, I have to ask, finally, where would you be if you could?
Well, I have a list. I think it would be the top of Victoria escalators, looking down at all the crowd below. I think it would be there, which doesn't sound romantic.
So why?
Because it's the place I'm going to see my sister. I'm feeling good. London isn't assaulting me with its sense. So I'm thinking, I've just got my head down, going to get the tube. It's that familiarity.
Normality.
Yeah. And I think it's the ordinary places you don't realise how beautiful they are till you can't be there. So that would be mine.
My thanks to Bristol-based artist Alison Larkman, designer of the Mirror Box, which will be on Troopers Hill in Bristol on the 1st of June, then the Oak Tree at Ashton Court on the 4th of June, and then on to Glastonbury Tour on the 18th of June. Times and other messages you can find on the website, more about the box itself too. I would be here if I could. It's all one word, all lowercase, .com. I would be here if I could.com. And can I just say thanks very much to Rita, who's near Midsummer Norton. Rita has texted in to say, Claire, 23 years ago, Emmy robbed me of my dream job with horses. It took my social life, my confidence and my sense of humour. The list is endless. I would be walking on the Mendips with a dog. Thank you so much, Rita. And if you've been listening, if you've been touched by this project, you can relate. Please do tell me where you would be if you could. It's claire.carter@bbc.co.uk. That's Claire with an I and an E. Thanks very much for listening.